My name is John Eckert. I'm at Baylor University, and I want to take a few minutes today to go through my paper about how some schools are moving from collective leadership to catalytic leadership and the lessons that we can learn from those schools. So, for the last 6 or 7 years, I have been studying collective leadership. Collective leadership is the work, not the position, not the personality type, not the charismatic nature of the leader, but it's the work toward shared goals that teachers and administrators do together. In a school, it's necessary to have both teachers and administrators if you're going to have this work that has to be done. This way, teachers step into that work without questioning whether or not they're the right person to do it. So we took this frame and we looked at schools across the state of New York to identify exemplary STEM schools. We used the Board of Regents, the National Network of State Teachers of the Year, and other exemplary science teachers who identified schools for us that were doing exemplary things, integrating STEM across the curriculum in elementary, middle, and high school. We narrowed that search down and then looked for schools who were getting above average results in STEM areas. And we landed on 5 different schools that were elementary, middle, and high school. And as we began to look at these schools, we began to see that what they were practicing was a form of collective leadership, but it was fairly STEM specific in that they were taking these engineering processes that they were using in class and then using them in the way they led, in the way they redesigned facilities, in the way they taught and co-taught, in the way they iterated the innovations that they were attempting. And so what we came to begin to call this was catalytic leadership. Catalytic leadership is particularly important because in science, we know a catalyst is something that takes a reaction that might be occurring, and then when that catalyst is added, to that reaction, it accelerates that reaction without being used up. The beautiful thing about the catalyst is it comes alongside and accelerates the good work that's happening without being used up. So catalytic leadership speeds up good work without being used up. So in 2021, this is particularly important because we need sustainable leadership that leads to innovation. And the teachers and administrators that we observed in these schools were showing us this over and over again. Now, we were able to survey 113 leaders in these schools. We were able to interview 52 teachers in focus groups or directly in interviews through semi-structured protocols. And then we also were able to interview or focus group administrators who were leading in these schools and districts. What we ended up with was a multiple case study looking at these 5 schools. And from that, just to keep this brief, we came up with 3 major themes. The first one is that these schools, in their leadership enactment and in their classrooms, had created STEM cultures. All right. STEM cultures are places where innovation and failure are expected, with the idea that that does not necessarily mean that those risks that they take will lead to success, but they will lead to learning. And from that learning, they will then get to success. So it was a pretty powerful example of how this was permeating administrators' work, teachers' work, and students' work. Second, we were able to see the way integrated STEM was leading to a lot of co-designing of lessons and co-teaching, where teachers and administrators were looking at student work together to identify where there were strengths and where there were weaknesses. This was again permeating the instructional culture, but was also getting into leadership practices where teachers and administrators were ideating and iterating together. Finally, our third point is that when we look at this as a continuous improvement model, we get a really strong orientation toward improvement. This was true in the elementary, middle, and high schools that we looked at. So I need to add orientation here. Strong orientation toward improvement. This was exciting for us because we see collective leadership as being vital, but we think that collective leadership, when done in this catalytic way, where we apply engineering processes, expect that there will be some failure and tolerate that, but learn from that failure, we get this strong orientation toward improvement where we're getting better outcomes for administrators, teachers, and most importantly for students. So this is a very brief summary of what we were able to see. If you would like to continue to talk more about this, you can always reach me at Twitter at EckertJohn, or reach out to me on my email, john_eckert@baylor.edu. We know we do this work better when we do it together, and that includes the kind of research that we do. So we look forward to collaborating with you and appreciate UCEA and this opportunity to share with you today. Thanks for your time.